The Mandalorian trailer is on its way. That's according to The Hollywood Reporter. That is the headline on this week's Force Friday show.
Yeah, Stephen, as you says, this is coming straight from The Hollywood Reporter. They are saying that the Mandalorian trailer, the first official trailer, it is set to debut on Friday, obviously August the 23rd today,
Yes.
at D23. The panel for Disney Plus' multitude of various different streaming services that are going to be popping up. Obviously, The Mandalorian being the primary one. It's premiering on the service in a couple of months' time, is going to be front and centre at this panel. We're already getting an array, Stephen, of different news items popping in about this show. Sadly, we're recording this prior to the trailer actually dropping. It's probably about 2-3 years away yet.
Yeah, we waited long enough.
We waited long enough, but sadly we can't stay up till 2 in the morning recording shows because it's all done in Pacific time and we stay in shitty Little Britain. So, yeah, Steve, what do you make of this? First and foremost, what are you expecting from this trailer? Do you expect this to give us away any meaty details about various different characters, story arcs, what the theme of the movie, the show is going to be?
Yeah.
Or do you think it will just be fairly superficial level? And are you excited for this?
I think it will be somewhere in between, John, because obviously there was a trailer that came out about 3 months ago, I think.
Yeah.
That was primarily for the people attending Comic-Con, I think it was.
It was, yes. Oh, was it Comic-Con? No, it was Star Wars Celebration.
So it was.
Yeah.
And there was leaks of it, but nothing official, nothing spread for the general public.
No.
So I think it's either going to be that trailer, which is already
I hope not.
been made, or it's going to be a sort of a blend between that with additional stuff. I'm not really sure how much detail we're going to get from it, because as you said, we're only a couple of months away from the premiere of the series.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of time to start dropping teaser trailers right away. So we might get something that's quite in depth. I'd be surprised if we don't. We might get a whole series of characters that we've never seen before in this trailer as well. I'm looking forward to it, John. I'm looking forward to this television series. We spoke earlier in the week how us people here in the UK are going to view this and how we're going to get to see it, because obviously we're not getting Disney Plus right away. So I still maintain it will be on Sky Atlantic. I think that's the way it's going to be for us guys over here, but nevertheless, I'm going to see it and I'm going to enjoy it.
Stephen, I share many of the sentiments you've just said there. Obviously, this is the first proper trailer, as you did say. We got this behind closed doors one from Star Wars Celebration. We both seen it. It did leak. Someone always videos in the halls at these panels, and we inevitably get to see.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger. We just following everybody else. We didn't react to it like that one chap on YouTube.
He's probably not on YouTube anymore.
Well, I think he actually is. I don't know how you get away with that, Stephen. But yeah, I like the look of the trailer, Stephen. I have to say, the one that leaked, obviously, it was Carol Weathers, very heavy. He's playing this sort of I don't want to say he's a bounty hunter, but he's like an enabler for the bounty hunters. He's like the go-to guy, the sort of Lando Calrissian of this verse, where he has his finger in a multitude of different pies, and he's got all these nefarious characters swarming around him. He's sending them off for jobs. I like the look of it. I like the look of that character. It looked like it belonged in the original trilogy. And I know this is also taking place after, I think, the events of the Return of the Jedi, in between that and obviously The Force Awakens. So it's in this uncharted region, well, just after the events of Return of the Jedi anyway. I know they've charted it out in novels and obviously comics and whatnot, but in terms of live action TV work or movies, then this is uncharted territory. And that's going to be intriguing. It looks as though it belongs there. Jon Favreau has spoken about his vision for this and what he wants to obviously achieve with looks and just storytelling and whatnot. And I cannot wait to see this trailer, Stephen. It really is a shame it's not dropped. For this show, we could have spoke about the actual meat and bones of the trailer itself, but I'm sure we'll do a reaction over the weekend at some point and get that out.
Well, I think what we'll do, John, is if it does obviously drop this weekend, I think we will do a trailer reaction, but I think we'll do a breakdown as well, an in-depth breakdown, because it has been probably one of the most anticipated trailers of the year. So.
And just the show itself, Stephen, as you did say, just the concept of bringing a live action Star Wars story to TV. This is the real pioneering live action attempt at this, and this is going to be make or break, I feel, for the rest of them coming. Yeah. Obviously, it's not going to be make or break. I'm talking crap. The talks of them doing an Obi-Wan TV show. I think we will hear something about this later on as well.
Well, I'm
sure McGregor will be announced.
Bob Iger is though, John. If it doesn't,
he may can them.
I've got no doubts that it won't. It will perform. It definitely will perform. But I think Bob Iger's very, not nervous, but he's certainly keeping his eye on this franchise at the moment. With the delays of other films, standalone films have been cancelled. Obviously in the backlash of The Last Jedi and then the underperforming Solo, a Star Wars story as well, they sort of had to move the goalposts. So I don't have any fears that this series will have any effect on future projects for Disney Plus. As you said, John, it looks like we're going to be getting that Obi-Wan television series with Ewan McGregor. They'd be mad not to take this opportunity. The guy wants to do it. He's played Obi-Wan before, but we're not here to talk about Obi-Wan. We're talking about The Mandalorian. Yeah,
Stephen, and just as I was saying about the actual show itself, perhaps not, as you did say, it obviously setting the tone for the actual TV shows. I'm sure they'll continue on with the Cassian Andor series. They will do an Obi-Wan series because it seems like they're perhaps finally listening to the fans. But maybe just, in a sense, setting the tone for Star Wars and just the fandom, bring them back together slightly. If they nail this, and then they subsequently nail The Rise of Skywalker, I think that'll go a long way to appeasing the fans again, getting them back on side and set the tone going forward. But Stephen, we'll quickly jump into another little sub-topic within this Mandalorian greater topic. It's all, as I did touch upon previously, about Jon Favreau speaking about the concept behind the story, and he says that, and I've never read this before, but he says that he wants to explore the freaky Mad Max aspect of Star Wars in this TV show, this mini-series, if you like. What it was like on Tatooine, what was it like getting into that cantina. He says that was something that fascinated him as a child, growing up. Just what all these characters were, what they were getting up to, what this world was like, this criminal underworld. And just, I think comparing that to Mad Max is absolutely perfect, Stephen. So this barren wasteland full of, obviously, self-serving characters who are out just to save their own hinds, essentially, and just the barbaric nature of it. It's just, that's a perfect fit for this. I think this will be fantastic.
Of that, John, in A New Hope, in those cantina scenes. It was something that always interests me, was those colourful characters in the cantina and what their lives were like, what the background was, what they were up to, why were they in the cantina at that time of day.
Exactly.
What they're all about, what do they do for a living, what do they not do for a living, what do they do that's unlawful. So, all these questions, and this is going to be one of these television series that's not going to answer those characters' exact, answers, but it gives you an insight to the world of Star Wars at that level as well, with all the sort of the underbelly of these, these characters that were created such a long time ago. And getting these new characters coming into this series as well. Mandalorian, as we know, is a new character anyway. But
he's our own gunslinger as well.
He is based on an existing character, or the look anyway, and the sort of style of him. I can't wait to, I just can't wait to see it. The poster itself, John, is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
It's very Western-like. Nice to see you've got a few sand trawlers in the background there as well. That I just noticed. I'm not actually looking at beyond the camera.
Revealing that it is on Tatooine then.
Yeah, it does look like it, that's what I was going to say.
The moisture, obviously evaporators are in the background as well, Stephen. And that ship is absolutely superb. I'm actually looking at it as well.
It's almost
you've got the double sunset.
Yeah,
it is, Stephen. It's a combination of perhaps a prequel style obviously ship, and then that quad jumper thing that Rey initially wants to go into with Finn in The Force Awakens. So that's cool. They're utilising various different aspects and concept work from the different trilogies. And just the juxtaposition of that poster as well, Stephen, it's absolutely stunning with him walking on his own, the ship in the background, it's almost dusty at the front, you've got the dual sunset or sunrise depending on what time it is. Just a beautifully crafted poster. I'd love to get my hands on that if that becomes available. It's absolutely stunning. And again, that's setting the tone, Stephen, for the TV show. I think that's pretty important. They get everything right, the look right, the promotion of it right. They're certainly getting the cast right. We've got news as well, Stephen, about another actress coming in as well.
Just before you move on, John, Pedro Pascal must be absolutely roasting in that uniform.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Stephen, it's obviously harkening back to Anthony Daniels and his C-3PO suit back in the day. The poor chap was having to be hooked up on it.
At least his was reflective.
Things. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Stephen, but we're getting Ming-Na Wen coming in. I don't know who she's playing. This is someone who has been involved in the likes of VR, the original Mulan in '98, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Street Fighter, Stargate Universe. She's just been around the block really, Stephen, and a whole multitude of different TV shows. She's done voice acting work. So it's intriguing to see if perhaps she'll be playing a CG character or maybe some creature, I don't know. But once again, Stephen, it's just all this news is starting to drop out. It's just like a absolute myriad of different news articles coming out, really. And I just cannot, without repeating myself again and again and again, I can't wait to get showered upon with more and more information.
Well, this is the
Not
thing,
just
isn't
about
it,
this,
John?
but everything.
It's all these different angles and different positions in the production. They're all just waiting for this trailer to drop so they can start releasing all the, the behind the scenes footage.
Yeah.
Probably some of the toys as well. Can't remember who make them. Is it Hasbro? I can't remember.
Hasbro, yes.
They'll be, chapping it a bit as well. So it's just a good time, to get all this news. It was always going to be the case when this trailer dropped that everything was going to start filtering behind it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, Stephen, look, I've not got much more to add to the whole Mandalorian thing just now because sadly, as I did say, we're getting showered down with a myriad of different topics, but not enough to stretch out any further than perhaps 10, 11 minutes of conversation. There's not that much meat in the bones of all these various different things until we actually get the trailer itself. So, Stephen, I'm going to move swiftly on to the next topic on this show. We're moving away from The Mandalorian and we're moving into Rian Johnsonville. Once again, it's two topics for the bold Rian. We'll start with the one, though, that's saying that perhaps this trilogy has been terminated by Lucasfilm. I don't know what you make of this, Stephen. This is coming from some chap on Twitter. I've never heard of him. I Fix Trails. He says that apparently they will no longer direct any more Star Wars films. The decision was discussed for some time since February 2018, but Johnson has not yet been notified due to Lucasfilm restructuring.
I don't know.
I don't believe
I
this.
take this with a pinch of salt. I think they're basing it on, if you read further, John, they're basing it on the fact that nobody's been cast or there's no news about it. The reason for that is because after Solo, just like we previously mentioned, Bob Iger took the decision to
put the handbrakes on.
And slow things down. That's the only reason there's nothing coming out about the Rian Johnson trilogy. I'm pretty sure if they had made a decision like this, we would have known about it by now. Rian Johnson would certainly have known about it. That's why I laughed at the article that he's not even been told, but some chap on Twitter's telling everyone out there that follows him, Rian Johnson's not doing this anymore.
On the contrary, Stephen, Rian Johnson was out last week saying that he has a very clear vision in mind for his Star Wars trilogy, that he will not be focusing on the legacy characters. He's stepping away from the legacy storytelling. He's got an open sandbox, blue skies to really delve into, and he's excited going forward for getting these claws into a new story.
I don't know what the purpose of the tweet was and what agenda they had. I don't know if they maybe just aren't fans of Rian Johnson and it's just wishful thinking on their part, John, but I don't think there's a lot of meat on the bone with that one.
No, certainly not, Stephen. And obviously, just briefly before we move on swiftly, because as you said, there's not much meat in the bones. I don't believe it, but we have to touch upon these little speculative topics every now and again. We have to do one Mike Zero.
Yeah, it keeps us going.
Yeah, exactly, Stephen. The fact that there's been no information about him in terms of casting his trilogy, I think that's purely because Disney have, or Lucasfilm have confirmed that they're focusing on the David Binoff and D.B. Wise movies first and foremost. They have a 3 or 4, I think it's a 3 picture
There's been
deal.
news about that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, apparently they are not potentially directing or writing all of them. They have laid out a treatment for the 3 movies. Yeah. But there may be individual writers coming in and doing also their own thing within those treatments. Yeah. We obviously know, Stephen, that George Lucas's original treatments for the sequel trilogy were very much in existence, but Disney, Lucasfilm threw them in the trash can as soon as they took over from obviously George boy. But yeah, Stephen, I don't think there's much meat in the bones with that one, sadly. I say sadly, I don't know why I'm saying sadly. We spoke about it time and again about Rian. Love him or hate him. Love or hate The Last Jedi. I think this guy has proven that he's a great independent filmmaker, time and again. And if he has his own distinct story with none of the baggage with legacy characters and whatnot and expectations, I think he could be capable of giving us a damn good Star Wars movie, Stephen. Yeah. And that's going to take us right in to the next topic involving Rian Johnson. This is him coming out and defending his divisive choices and plot twists from The Last Jedi, Stephen. Again, yeah. But you didn't have to say, looking at the actual article, I find myself agreeing in part with what he's saying. If I don't quite agree with how he implemented it into the story itself, I do agree with what he's saying in terms of he's saying that the instant you start thinking out in terms of how do you not step outside of these bounds or boundaries that the original movies did, and you're not thinking the way the original people who crafted those great movies thought. He's essentially saying that to make Star Wars great, you have to be looking to continually change things up, expand the mythology, think differently, and push the boundaries. So I can agree with what he's saying to an extent, but I don't think when you also implementing that into the Last Jedi story. He did a great job
His
of doing it.
execution was where it let him down, John. But it is right. Anything, whether it be any form of art, has its shelf life.
Yeah.
You look at the likes of the Beatles. They knew when to call it a day.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't want to keep playing till they were in their 60s, regurgitating the same old
Stones.
you know, songs. Just like the stories, you know, that are in Star Wars. You can't keep repeating. And we all have a laugh and joke about George Lucas's "it's all poetry," you know, history repeats itself. But to an extent, you don't want to keep repeating the same film over and over again.
No.
Force Awakens was accused of being an exact copy of A New Hope. The fans weren't happy. The Last Jedi comes out, it's nothing like any other Star Wars film. The fans aren't happy.
Yeah, Stephen.
It's a hard one.
You're absolutely right, Stephen. It did get accused, but I could almost forgive J.J. Abrams because he had to reinvent the Star Wars brand
The
in
only
a sense
thing, John,
for a new
that
generation.
I'm not happy with J.J. Abrams was his sidestep with the Luke Skywalker character.
Yeah, you're absolutely
He
right.
based the film on the story of finding Luke, I get that, but I think he was just dodging a bullet.
He was terrified of the character, Stephen. We have both spoken about that before. Absolutely terrified of him overshadowing these new group of characters that he'd introduced to the world.
That's why they should have done a Luke Skywalker standalone film
Precisely.
before that trilogy came out.
Exactly, Stephen.
They've
They
dealt with
absolutely
him.
should have. They could have dealt with him, told us where he was throughout that period between the Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens, and then it wouldn't have been so hard to reintroduce him in a way where he wasn't overbearing and overpowering the characters. But Stephen, he goes on to say that why those movies were great was because they were alive and they weren't looking at something before and saying, look, we better not do this, because that's outside of this or that. They would have been different, he says. Now again, without repeating myself, I can understand what he's saying. Those movies were groundbreaking in terms of every element of filmmaking, the visuals, the storytelling, the characters, just the actual experience of getting out to these wacky locations and whatnot. It's something that was never done before. And again, Stephen, I can understand what he's saying with that, but obviously this was done in a time period 30 years ago when there wasn't a fandom for Star Wars. This is when the movies were just getting created. There wasn't all this lore expanded out in the expanded universe. There wasn't expectation. George was very much going off on a tangent and doing his own little things.
Developing them,
developing them and making things, changes on the fly and whatnot. So it's different times. We can't really compare what George Lucas and the original guys in ILM and all that were doing back in the 70s and the 80s to now. It doesn't quite work out.
The things that Rian Johnson did out the box didn't bother me as much, John. It was more the things like the throne room scene, which seems to be a big favourite among Star Wars fans that like The Last Jedi, which was an absolute rip-off of Return of the Jedi. Everything about it, you know, the situation we have our hero in, the villain who's controlling the room, controlling the scene, basically, manipulating the hero, showing the hero what's happening outside in space. Everything was exactly the same as Return of the Jedi. As I said, I don't mind any film, whether it be Star Wars or not, going outside the sort of traditions and stuff like that, but it has to make sense. There's a few things in there that didn't have to be there. The whole Cantabite sequence, as we've talked about, John, was just unnecessary, but it was something they couldn't cut out, very much like the Jar Jar Binks back story as well. Once it was in there and it was interlaced and it connected to all the other stories, you can't pull it. And this is what happened with that sequence as well, unfortunately.
Oh, Stephen, I think you could still cut out Jar Jar on Naboo, large chunks of it. Have him be saved by Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Have them lead them to the water, and then they somehow just appear some way. They have the meeting even with Boss Naz and having the story of him being freed. Then they go on the ship and then they appear in Naboo, or feed. They cut that whole nonsense with that ship. Fish eats a bigger fish, eats a bigger fish. Terrible. But yeah, you're right, Stephen. Look, for all the criticisms of The Last Jedi, getting out there and being zany, in some ways it's almost like a recreation of The Empire Strikes Back in parts with Crate and whatnot.
Yeah.
And as you say, the Return of the Jedi with the throne room sequence, it's still harkening back and being sort of a bit shit in its poeticness. So
that scene, the one with what's his name, the director that did Rogue One, Gareth
Edwards,
he did the cameo and had that guy that kind of put his fingers down to taste, and it went salt. I mean, they went so out the road to say, it's not snow, it's not snow, it's not Hoth we're on, it's some salt planet we're on. Look, guys just said salt, he's tasted it. Wow.
Yeah, Stephen, there was no need for that when you think about it. They've been on this planet for a good while now. They could have at least... I mean, this is Star Wars. We've got...
I would be like this. Yeah. I can taste salt in my lips.
Yeah, you've got hyperspace and these futuristic, obviously, technology, this futuristic technology, and they couldn't determine what the bi-components of this planet were before they landed on it. Yeah. Strange. As you say, just going out their way to try and say, look, this is different. It's very similar, but it's different. But it wasn't. I'll try to rip off The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. It didn't do a good job of it because those walkers were underwhelming and shit as well. But look, Stephen,
they had arthritis, those ones, didn't they? They kind of went like that. Yeah.
It was all Planet of the Apes. Kind of a strange curling, knuckles.
Draggers, yeah.
Yeah, we know about them, Stephen, living in Glasgow. But look, Stephen, we shall move on to the final topic. This one is a little bit less serious, a little bit more light-hearted. It's all about Ben Mendelsohn speaking about his character, Orson Krennic, and suggesting that he, in fact, built the Death Star. He deserves credit for building the Death Star. He's still arguing, Stephen, essentially, against the greater... Actually, consensus of most people that it was actually Mads Mikkelsen's character.
No. It was Krennic. He had his spirit level out. He was laying the brickwork down. Did it all. Rivets, everything. Yeah, and it was and him claiming ownership. He's claiming ownership for the catastrophic death of millions of people thereafter in A New Hope. So he's quite an evil chap,
he's saying he's a mass murderer.
But the actual quote itself, John, you know, you get the chance to claim you built the Death Star. I'm taking it. Well, I'll claim it then. Yeah. I mean, nobody's actually saying you did it. You're saying that. So I'll say I'm saying it and I'll claim it. I'm getting the chance to claim it, so I'm taking it. I'm taking it off you, Ben.
But Stephen, that actually harkens me back to that great scene in Rogue One.
My creation.
Yeah,
it was a great scene.
You dare to challenge me in the midst of my conquest or something like that. This is my moment. When Tarkin comes in and slaps him down like a little bitch. That is one of my favourite scenes in the whole movie, Stephen. Just this guy's been rising. He's such an egomaniac git. He's trying to have a power grab and become one of the top men behind, obviously, Chief Palpatine and Vader. Yeah. In fact, he runs to Vader as well. It's hilarious. Having read the Tarkin novel and knowing how the hierarchy works in the Empire, with the Emperor top, then I think it's nip and tuck between Vader and actual Tarkin. So the concept of him running behind Tarkin's back to Vader was absolutely ridiculous. It was never going to work. The guy was doomed from the moment he really... allowed information to slip out of that base, obviously. Was it Galen Russell? Yeah. Mads Mikkelsen's character. But he's wrong, Stephen. In a sense, there's people shouting in the background. That's Wicket and the rest of the Ewoks. They're not happy because we're speaking about the Death Star.
Oh, they're blinking. Must be the special editions.
Didn't you know, Stephen, that actually crashed to the surface in the moon plant in Endor and contaminated the entire world after the Return of the Jedi, apparently. All right, so the Ewoks were doomed after that. But yeah, Stephen, he's wrong. He's absolutely wrong. It was Galen Russell who was the mastermind behind the Death Star. Then it was very much a cumulative effort with the Greater Empire, obviously with the Taskmaster, Chief himself, sitting back, sipping some blue milk with his guards, and that other ugly bitch, whose name eludes me at the moment, weirdo with the gold suit on. But yeah, not gold suit, but you know, he had the gold, the robes on, he was hanging around them. They mentioned his name in Tarkin as well, but yeah, he's wrong. But Stephen, it's funny just seeing Ben Mendelsohn, and all, joking aside, still very much invested in this character. He was a great character.
He was,
Orson Krennic. I really enjoyed him. Yeah. He was one of the... He's not really a villain, but he was like this multi-layered chap. He kind of understood what he was doing. He was just an egomaniac, power-hungry bitch. Yeah. But then he had his demise, and I kind of felt sorry for him on, obviously, wasn't created, it was a Scarif. Yeah. But yeah. His character
was created for the reason Peter Cushing isn't with us anymore, because... most of that sort of those duties and the screen presence, if it was made back in maybe 78 or 79, this storyline, it would have went to Peter Cushing's Tarkin, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely agree, Stephen. But look, I have not got much more to add to any of those topics. We shall have our fingers crossed, Stephen, going forward that the Mandalorian trailer drops and that it looks as good as it's promising to be. But that is going to round up this week's show, Stephen. So I'm going to pass over to anybody that's perhaps watching and feels like they're obviously want to say something down below in the comment section. What was your thoughts on this greater Mandalorian discussion we obviously spoke about? Perhaps you're coming back after watching the trailer. Is it as good as we were hoping it was? I'm sure we'll have something to say about that over the weekend. What do you think of the concept of this Mad Max exploration sort of a story that Jon Favreau's going for. What do you make of the Rian Johnson trilogy? Do you want it to happen? Do you want it to be cancelled? What the hell do you make of Rian Johnson in general? Is he right about these comments? If you've got anything to say in general, just comment below and let us know what your thoughts were. We'll have a little read to like it, maybe get back to you on your points. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed the content, and both me and Stephen will be back next Monday with MBE Box Office.